One more point of news here.
Yeah, what you got, man? Go ahead, tell us.
So, so I mean, I want to see you do so much better in terms of coming in with like elaborate previews, the elaborate speech and stories.
Oh, word, that's what I do.
You do way better, and I'm just more like boom. And Troy Polamalu made the Hall of Fame. So,
all right, so
that is the news. You do way better than that.
All right, so
hyping up it.
So what my co-host, my colleague was talking about, we had some more big time Steeler news this weekend. Obviously, the Hall of Fame, they have done the Centennial class where we saw Bill Cowher and Donnie Shell make it. And they were down to the finalists. Obviously, Alan Faneca and Troy Polamalu were the two Steelers represented in that finalist class. We found out Saturday night that Troy Polamalu did get the knock on the door. He's officially a first ballot Hall of Famer. Alan Faneca, unfortunately, did not make it this time, but I do think that he has to be right up next because the argument between him and Steve Hutchinson were neck and neck. We talked about that a little bit on the podcast earlier, and I said, honestly, I could see them going to Steve Hutchinson just because he still had a little more of the notoriety, the name recognition during that time frame. But now that he's gone, I definitely see Allen as the next guy to get in there. But man, it was just good to see Troy, former teammate of mine, man, just be able to get that knock, see the emotion that he has, and knowing the bad blood, quote unquote, from, him and how he viewed the team when he had to leave the way he did. It was just good to hear him speaking positively or speaking in a positive light about the organization and about the fan base, because it's not easy when you mix the business element into a game that we're so passionate about and that you sacrifice so much for. And then it comes down to a bitter end like that. But it was just good to see that hopefully as a whole, that whole leaf has been turned over to a new era. And now, I mean, just seeing him even after that, man, with a dinner with Mr. Rooney and all the other Steeler Hall of Famers, some former teammates of his, I thought it was just a good thing to see, man. I was very happy for him, man.
Yeah. I mean, people say it before that sports bring people together. Mm-hmm. And obviously sports was a little bit of the reason that things came apart, but that was the business side of it though. Right. But now we're getting into, how you played and kind of cherishing that and awarding that with the Hall of Fame. So maybe that's kind of a little way that things can be brought back together. So,
well, I mean, for me, man, I was just, like I said, for me, it was surreal because I'm like, man, this is my first teammate that I've ever had to make the Hall of Fame. It's nuts. I tell people all the time, I only got 3 jerseys hanging up in the house. Yep. His, Sid the Kid, I'm on.
Yep.
But it was just dope to see him get in because we all felt that he was a first ballot guy.
You just never know that.
But you're right. You never know. And then, I mean, you read some of the reports from some of the voters and they're like, well, yeah, I figured since Troy was so overwhelmingly a favorite, I didn't even vote for him. I sent my votes to other people because I wanted to at least give other people a chance. I'm like, that's scary. I don't want to hear that. Like, dude, if he's the overwhelming favorite, if that's the overwhelming favorite, you vote for the overwhelming favorite. Don't try to be charitable. I don't want to hear that. That's crazy. And that's what I'm hearing. I'm like, man, that's not cool at all.
Nah.
So I definitely wasn't a fan of that element, man, but it was good to see him be a first ballot guy. I always felt that during his era, I felt like him and Ed Reed were neck and neck. You, depending on what you like, if you want more of a safety that roams and gets interceptions or safety that makes impact plays in the running game and doing all the stuff he does, jumping over the line, getting the forced fumbles and things like that, you could pick and choose. And I thought Dawkins was the third best out of that group.
Yep.
And for me, I just thought, it was important to see him get in as a first ballot guy since Ed Reed got in as a first ballot guy to just kind of solidify his stamp in there as, those arguably the best 2 safeties of their generation.
But then it doesn't make sense. I didn't pay too much attention to it, but I heard a lot of people talking about it, how he didn't make like the NFL all-time like 100.
Yeah, he didn't, yeah.
So that's kind of BS, but whatever, man. But yeah, it's a good thing he got the first ballot. Do you have anything else on? Do you have like anything you want to share in terms of like favorite stories?
I just think, man, with Troy, man, I think it was dope with him just because he's one of those guys that's super genuine. We talk about some guys, they're either like great athletes, but they got some off the field issues, or some guys, they're great off the field, but they just don't have the talent on the field.
Yeah.
He was the perfect mix. He had both. I mean, it's a dude that he's going to be out doing things in the community. He's going to make sure he's making an impact. Just a good father, good husband, like all the things you want to do. He checks all those boxes. And then on the field, the thing that was so special about him, most of the time you get these guys who are either great athletes, but mentally they can't figure out the scheme, figure out what the offense are trying to do to attack them, or they're great at understanding the scheme and what teams are trying to do to attack, but they just physically can't perform it the way they need to perform. He was the guy who has both of those. And for me, man, just seeing and being around that, it was like, wow, you really could just see it. And I remember this to this day, man. My first practice with him during the regular season, just out there, we're running through the plays, and he's just kind of just scooting on back there, and he was just pointing. All right, whatever that means. Let me go over here, just point. It's like, yo, I got that. I'd have made that play right there. I'd have made it. I'm like, yeah, all right, this is crazy. Like, bro, like you, and like I said, because for me, this is my first time seeing it, because coming from Buffalo, they didn't care who you were. Like, you better run and make that play in practice, otherwise it doesn't count. And you see him just, yep, I'd have had that. And you're like, all right. And he got in the game, and literally every pass that he pointed to, every run that he said, I'm there, he's there. And he's making the play. You're like, oh. Now I see why they call you TP. I got it now. I got it. Yeah, because it's different. I wasn't ready for that. You know what I mean? You don't really expect it. You don't really know what to expect when you see a guy just pointing. And he's super soft-spoken, just fun dude to be around. Oh, man, da-da-da-da. Hair's just flowing. All right. And then you just see it in person. You're like, wow. Like, this is different. This is special.
Like a character.
Dudes don't have that, man. Yeah. And then you just see the difference between, man, Troy with the hair up and Troy with the hair down. Man, Troy with the hair down, you better duck.
Yeah.
You either get him down or get out the way, because somebody going night-night. That's just how you played the game, man. But you love that about him. Like, even before I came to Pittsburgh, like, you always had a genuine respect and appreciation for the way that he played the game. No different than how we talk about Ed Reed. Like, regardless if you were a fan of the Ravens or not, you respect Ed Reed's game. And that's how it was with Troy. It's like, man, like, dude, that's Troy Polamalu. Like, I don't care who you're a fan of. If you watch football, you watch defense. Like, he made it cool to be on defense. Like, people were starting to know, like, oh man, this dude, Head and Shoulders commercial. Like, who's this guy? He doesn't even talk like that. But because of his impact on the field, man, now you would see him out there so much more. And I thought, man, it was just dope to see, like I said, to be a part of just a small part of his career, but to be a part of it, a teammate of his, man, for a year was dope. And then obviously, like I said, to see him be in that first ballot Hall of Fame category, man, I thought that was legendary.